a cast iron pizza the other day. Turned out perfect. Best one yet. Well, hopefully, I'll be able to match your standard. Hi there. Well, welcome once again, everybody, to Cast Iron Wednesday, where every Wednesday it seems like I go through the same spiel because I've been doing this for the last year now. But just in case anybody new has decided to show up, well, first of all, thank you for showing up. But yeah, it's become something of a tradition on YouTube for many of these cooking channels to do a cast iron video on Wednesday. Usually it's a cast iron cooking video, and then those are great. You can never get enough of those. Or talking about, restoring cast iron, identifying cast iron, seasoning cast iron, cleaning cast iron, or just simply, as we're doing right now, doing a live video and see what happens when we cook in cast iron. And I always thank you very much, everybody, for showing up because, yeah, these things are a lot of fun, and that's why I've been doing them. And I'm pleased to see folks like John Riston and Josh Riston and Jeffrey Boyle, Pip Gorn, the Big John, Dr. M, Jeff Colasar, Flash 1499. Hello to everybody. Thank you very much for showing up because, as the subject of this video says, well, we are doing pizza once again. I know a couple of months ago, we did a video here on our live for what they called 1 hour pizza. And it actually turned out pretty darn good. I will say that. The pizza recipe comes from a channel I've been following, and I think a lot of people are following because that guy is really starting to skyrocket. And his name now is Brian Lagerstrom. He used to have a channel called Weeds and Sardines, but he renamed it to his name. And he put a whole bunch of pizza videos out, some of which I've tried and again have turned out pretty darn good. Besides, I'll be the first to admit that my pizza making so far has been okay. I have not been able to yet create a world-class pizza, even in these cast iron pans, but, well, the best I could do is practice. And that is pretty much what we are doing here tonight. Last week, 2 weeks ago, we introduced a new member to our family, and that is a Birmingham Stove Range number 14 Red Mountain series cast iron skillet. And he showed up right alongside our old favorite Stumpy, the Birmingham Stove Range number 14 Century Cookware series skillet. Based on the identification or the clues rather given from the marks on that skillet, I'm thinking that Red Mountain pan is not as old as you may think, in that they're definitely both vintage. I've got a sneaking suspicion the difference in age between the manufacturer is not of those pans is not really that great. So while I was expecting to see Stumpy's crazy uncle or his grandpa show up, as it turns out, he's more likely an older cousin. Not that it mattered because both of them, what we made a couple of weeks ago was jambalaya, and boy, did that ever turn out good in both pans. Well, somebody on the comment said, hey, let's do a side-to-side pizza with these two and see how they came out. Sounds good to me. I mean, any excuse at all for pizza is a good excuse. And so I've been putting together the setup once again to do that so-called 1 hour pizza recipe. And Richard Scott says more eats, no question about that. Can't saute or can't to see your pizza. I'm thinking it might be can't wait, I guess. Yeah, I can't wait either. Hello, and it continued. That's Ray Laws and Fursten Feldbrook. Your home is sinking. Yeah, it seems like it. Or more likely, this camera here is just very slightly out of angle. Papa Dan is here, and as always, says hello to Jamie, and she says hi, Papa Dan. And William Hurt, and it's always nice to see familiar names showing up. Thank you very much, and as well as new names who appear to be showing up. So, and again, thank you so much. But like you said, since this thing seems to be a little out of angle here, let's get a close up here. For the record, the two pans right now are in here. They are both in the oven, heating up to 500 degrees. So unfortunately, I'm not able to take them out yet, but we will be seeing them out very shortly. As it stands right now, I have been putting my, the setup here for pizza together, including we've got two dough balls that have been slowly rising. Well, not so slowly. I only put them together within the last hour or so. Because this is supposed to be a 1 hour pizza. Now, the recipe notes, and I have made it before, the recipe notes that the trick with doing a fast rising pizza that he uses is to use beer in the as the liquid, because the beer contains yeast, fermented yeast already, and it certainly helps it rise. Also gives it some nice taste, and I like using ale myself on this, so that's good old Guinness in these dough balls here. In addition, I also found some whole milk mozzarella and shredded it myself, so that we will have what I hope is a nice, sticky, chewy, stretchy pizza. I hope. And Christina Borgatti says, so my son has my grandmother's cast iron skillet. It has a rim all around the bottom, no notches, no markings. 8 inches across the bottom. It's ground smooth and is thin and lightweight. Sounds interesting. If it completely says 8-inch skillet, all spelled out in those letters, it's a good chance that it's an unmarked Wagner. There's a small chance it could be Taiwan made. But that seems to be the most likely one. And hello, John Nathan Shopper. You got my name right last time. It's John Nathan as an intentional misspelling of Jonathan. Yeah. Well, thank you. Excuse me. So anyway, while we're waiting here, I still actually have to put the sauce together. I did manage to start the dough at least, and that thing may have shorted out my Ninja as I prepared it. So all I can say is this better be good. And if in fact the Ninja is kaput, well then so be it. So much for the undefeatable Ninja. Okay, nonetheless, all we got to do now is nice and simple. Pizza sauce. Some people pre-cook their pizza sauce. Some people do not. I've done it both ways. And granted, I have a very easy and forgiving palate, and I like it both ways. In this case, we are, as you can see, not pre-cooking it. Some folks say pre-cooking your pizza sauce gives it more of a pasta sauce type of taste. And they may be right. So from here, all right, where did I put? Always forget something. In this case, oh, rat! I watch those wires there. All right, now this will not take long, I promise. Get the actual recipe out because I do not have this thing memorized. Nonetheless, it says here, about 2 teaspoons of salt. So it looks like we're going to have to wing it. About 2 teaspoons of salt. And then we got about 1 2/3 tablespoons, interestingly enough, of sugar. It seems like a lot of sugar if you ask me, but nonetheless, I'll compromise a little bit and do 3 teaspoons or 1 tablespoon of sugar. 1, 2, and 3. So much for eyeballing it, I guess. All right. Well, okay. Next up, now from here, we just throw in some dried basil. Come on. There we go. About yay much. It mentions here about 2 3/4 tablespoons of dried basil. So maybe a little bit more of that. That should be enough. And then we've got to have our oregano, of course. Can't have pizza sauce without oregano. Well, you probably can, but it doesn't taste like pizza sauce. It mentions chili flakes. I'm going to pass on that because I'm not a big spice person. On the other hand, of course, we've got to throw in some garlic powder. That's a necessity with pizza sauce. And while we're at it, he also calls for a little bit of onion powder, and that doesn't seem like a bad idea if you ask me. The thing about onion powder is it tends to clump up, unfortunately, but nonetheless, there we are. There's some onion powder. And voila, we have our pizza sauce. Boy, that sure was hard. And when you consider that you can buy pizza sauce at Wally World anywhere from $1.50 a jar to, well, probably twice that if you want to put a label with the word organic on it, for instance. Tell me, how is this inorganic pizza sauce? Anyway, so it's nice, and besides, the this should be enough for 2 pizzas as well. And that sure didn't take long. The oven and the pans have heated up to 500, so really about the only thing we were waiting for at this point is the dough. Let me put this over here. One thing I definitely need in this place is more room, which means and by the way, Terry Sinchef and High Peg Tooth, and my brother likes to cook with Guinness and has your same haircut. Oh yeah, well, as they like to say, I love cooking with wine. Sometimes I even use it in the food. First frost here in Northern Virginia. Yeah, we just had our first frost last Friday, and now I think we've already had a couple more, and in fact, it looks like we're going to be having frost, well, regularly. Welcome to New England. Never use a non-cooked sauce, have always cooked, says Jimmy Langford, which is what I mean. It's pretty much a debate here. Please keep the snow in Michigan. Yeah, exactly. I'm not a fan of of driving in the snow myself. Nonetheless, let's bring this over, shall we? And we've got our doughboys, or dough balls, as you may want to call them. Now it's going to be a matter really of stretching this thing out into the right size. So we'll start with number 1. I'm going to put this aside for the time being. Come on, you know what you are. I have to put this down. I'm going to have to put this aside. Otherwise, I'll probably knock it over. I do things like that. Oh yeah, definitely. I'm going to have to show you that before this video is done as well. Meanwhile, as an aside, I did a restoration just last night of a vintage Wagnerware aluminum oval roaster, and I have to say, I think the thing came out pretty darn good. I'm definitely going to have to... I am... in the midst of putting a video on it together so everybody can see it, but I do want to show you folks a preview of it before this is all done tonight. So, yeah, this is definitely this dough here is stretching very nicely. Oops, looks like we got a little bit of a tear, unfortunately. So that's what I mean. I am regrettably nowhere near a professional when it comes to making these pizzas, I'm sorry to say. All I can do is keep on practicing, which is what I intend to do. Ugh. Yeah, I know. There's that tear again, unfortunately. So, once we do this, let's put this aside and let it relax for a little bit. Then, actually, what I should do is get out the peel and put this on there. Now, it's got this, I don't know if the color is showing up all right, but this actually has a very nice darkish color. It does not have the white color you see on most pizza place doughs, and that, of course, is because we used ale in the dough here with its caramel color. And yeah, so it's going to be a nice looking pizza, no question about that, no matter how it turns out. So, yeah, I'd say we're probably about ready, I think, really, to get down to it. Let's get our peel out, shall we? Both of those pans are heating up. I could do both of those pizzas at the same time, but I don't think I'm that good. So right now, we will just dust this off with a little bit of cornmeal, as is traditional. I know they also use a semolina flour, which I've also done in the past as well. There we go. And even a novice like myself, I found using a pizza peel to be pretty easy. So, put this cornmeal aside here. And plop this on. Nice. There we go. Okay. Don't want it to fold over like that. There we go. But hey, this actually doesn't look too badly. So far, my best pizzas actually have been the ones where I've risen them right in the pan itself, and I'm pretty sure my next one is going to be like that, rather than using a pizza peel, because with that, I've been able to get the pizza out all the way over to completely cover that entire 15-inch pizza pan. But as it stands right now, this is not going to be a bad pie in itself. So, here we go. Let me get that sauce again. Where did I just put that sauce? And this is, well, there it is. Haha. Now comes the fun part and the easy part. And I'm going to have to do this fast because, again, we don't want this thing to settle. We also do not need to use a lot of sauce. I already found that part out. This, no, I'm not going to be using quite as little as that, but I found you do not have to drown your pie in tons, splattered all over the place, in tons and tons of sauce. That's really not absolutely necessary. And again, in fact, if you look in the if you watch the pizzas being made at pretty much any of those professional pizza houses, you'll find they usually don't. They only use a very small amount of sauce. I mean, granted, they're a business, and of course, they're trying to conserve to use as much or to use as little as possible and spread it out into as many pies as possible. And then from here, now comes the fun part, and that, of course, would be the cheese. We've got our mozz, and I made sure in this case to take a block of mozz and shred it myself, or I used a box grater actually. So, because what they say is true is that if you shred your own cheese, not only is it better, it does pull better too, because they use starch in the store-bought cheese, shredded cheese, especially to keep it from clumping. Despite what some ridiculous food sites on the internet say, and you may find I say things like this a lot because you see them all the time, the anti-clumping agents in store-bought shredded cheese are not carcinogen, they're not toxic, they're nothing like that. They're just really starch, and they're just there to keep it from clumping. Which is why I don't have a problem in many cases with using store-bought cheese either. However, I wanted to be as good as possible here. This is not, I think you probably want a better shot of that. There we go. And in addition to that, because Jamie has asked for a cheese pizza, I will top all this with some store-bought grated sharp cheddar. And then finally, on top of that, this one I'm going to have to take off the cover because I just bought this one. Throw in or top this off with a little bit of, there we go, grated Parmesan Romano. Not that we have to skimp on it, of course. There we go. This should probably be more than enough, in fact. And let's make sure this hasn't stuck, although I'm pretty sure it has not. No, I don't think there will be any problem at all with this. Which means now comes the fun part. Christine Borgatti, if I remember right, the rim is set in just a pinch. The bottom is just slightly rounded. Oh, okay. There's a hole in the handle. Well, give me one moment. I'll ask a little bit more about that. I'm not certain, but I don't recall offhand ever seeing one with a modern helper hander because of the egg logo. All right. Now, having said that, I think it's about time. Now I've got to push this back a little bit so that I can actually get the pan out of the oven. Move these to one side as quickly as possible. I really hope this works right. Get my gloves. This is one freaking hot cast iron pan we're doing here. And the first one to go is going to be this is the Red Mountain, in fact. This is the Red Mountain 14S, which does not have a ground smooth surface, by the way. But having said that, here we go. Come on. Aha! See what I mean? Even a fool like me could successfully use a pizza peel. In the oven we go. Yeah, I can see there's a lot of extra cornmeal that's going to burn. Okay, so be it. Into the oven we go. And that will probably be done in anywhere between 10 to 12 minutes. I might even go 15 minutes because, as I said, that's not a paper-thin crust, I'm afraid. Looks like we did get a little bit of sauce in a couple of places on the peel. Oh, drat. I just realized I did not give you a close-up of that. I apologize. I was concentrating on this so much that I should have brought the camera back in. I very, very much apologize for that. Okay. Well, when it comes back out, I will give you plenty of looks at that Red Mountain. So I do apologize very much. Hello, James Ramsdell. And beehive lid. Beehive. It wasn't that Ozark, I believe, who did those beehive lids? Rim is on the edge. Exception is perhaps okay. Checking up here, we've got I'm not certain, but I don't recall offhand ever seeing one with a modern helper handle logo because of the oh, I see, you're talking about the pans with the helper handles. Yeah, no, the 12 and the 14 with a lot of these companies did in fact have a small helper handle, BSR and even Wagner, for instance. Christine, if we're still identifying your pan, if you're saying there's a hole in the handle, if the hole is completely circular, it's probably a Wagner in that case, especially if you said it has the measurement in inches on there. So, yeah. James Ramsdell found a Meepet lid this week. Oh yeah, the Meepet, I believe that was also a beehive lid, if I remember right. I completely forgot about that. And meanwhile, Josh Riston, Dr. M, it has the modern recessed logo, but no lodge marking on the helper handle. So I do apologize, as I said to everybody, that I actually was concentrating so much on this that I forgot to focus in on the pan when it came back up here. Now I've got a couple of spots on this that I think I had better wipe off so that the next pizza does not stick. So let's get these out of the way. Wipe this off as best as we can. There we go. And having done that, let's get ready, I suppose, for pie number 2, shall we? That first one, as I said, would be about 15 minutes or so. Oh, that's what I can do as well while we're waiting. Okay, let me change my view once again, if you don't mind, folks. There we are. Hi there. Okay, now I think is a good time, as I said, to give a sneak preview of something that is actually not cast iron, but it was in fact made by Wagner, and I'm actually quite proud of the job I did of this. So let me first move a couple of things out of the way. such as the other dough ball, for instance. Um, and John Riston, rim is on the edge. Okay. I'm hoping, yeah, everything looks like the live is going okay. I can see I've got a full feed, so hopefully this is not locked up, so that you folks can take a look and let's see what you think. Here it is. And there, I'd say this turned out pretty darn well, actually, if you ask me. Clang, clang. Yep, there's a trivet in there too, so. Oh, yeah. So far, so good, if you ask me. Yeah, there's a trivet in there. Can you tell? Okay. So yeah, I'm quite happy with it with this. I mean, I have shown this one off before. This is the one that I found at Brimfield. Took the time to restore it last night, and I think this turned out pretty darn good. Okay. Nice rack. Why, thank you. I think you're really cute looking as well. No, actually, yes, I know. Yeah. Yeah, Papa Dan. Yeah, as I said, I am really stoked about how that thing turned out. It got a nice sheen to it. I even managed to clean off all of the grit and the dirt from from within all the little grooves and even the logo and everything. So got some parts of it have close to a mirror sheen on it. I do not trust myself enough to have taken the time to sand out and grind off the scratches on there. So the scratches are still on there. That I don't think is any big deal at all. So yeah, I am quite happy with how that one turned out. Peg tooth, message retracted. I hope it wasn't anything bad. No, I trust you. What I mean is that I hope YouTube didn't block it for whatever reason. So, what did you use to clean it? Okay, yeah, this is, as you'll see in the video, I actually used something that was rather unexpected, but I trusted I trusted a YouTube video. Boy, is that a foolish thing to say these days. And I actually sprayed that with Easy Off oven cleaner. Yes, Easy Off. Not the yellow can. I used the blue can of Easy Off. That means that is the one that does not have lye in it. I know all too well that if I had used the yellow can of Easy Off, that would have damaged that pot permanently, maybe rendered it useless because, of course, lye reacts with aluminum. However, the blue can of Easy Off does not have lye in it. And I found that thing did a remarkable job of removing all of the grit and everything. After spraying it on and letting it sit for about 15 minutes or so, those little stains and everything, they were coming right off. I just used a very light brush and they all came off, and really helped to restore that thing to a big sheen. So what did you use to polish it? Well, for the inside, I used Barkeeper's Friend. Barkeeper's Friend is one of my favorite cleaners, as I mentioned. For the outside, I did use an aluminum polish. I used Mother aluminum polish. However, only for the outside. And yes, I'm sure the reasons why I only did the outside with that are obvious. But on the whole, this thing really turned out really nice on the inside and the outside. um, Dr. M, according to Lodge's site, they created the egg logo in 1973. I believe it took some time to completely transition to using it on skillets. So 1973 to current. Yeah, I would certainly agree with that. There are folks out there who are much more knowledgeable about all the details of Lodge's history than I am. And I found that out when I actually when I actually showed them a Lodge skillet that I had restored. And I thought it was a 1940s to 1950s, or maybe a 1950s to 1960s Lodge. And everybody said, nope, this is definitely made much later, maybe as late as 1992. Apparently, 1992 was the last year Lodge made unmarked skillets. So yeah, I'm really stoked about that video on the Magnolite. I would love to have had it done today. It didn't seem to quite work out that way, largely because I had to go and help my godson. I am hoping to spend some time tomorrow, nonetheless, getting this all together because, yeah, I really want to show you folks that video. It's, as I said, I'm pretty stoked about that. Um, Aluminum wheel cleaner works great as well. Oh, I don't doubt it as well. I've never made a round pizza in my life. I like the rustic look. Yes, exactly. I'm in pretty much the same boat here. Though, as I said, I found actually, and I think my next pizza, not tonight, but probably the next one I do, maybe by the weekend or so, I'm going to do the other method, which I think you've seen, and I've done a couple of videos of it as well, in which you actually rise the dough right there in the pan and then cook the whole thing that way. That allows you to stretch the dough all the way out so that even on a 14 and 15-inch pan, it will be round and it will cover the entire surface. You'll have yourself a nice big round pie that way. And I was quite happy with that. However, tonight I wanted to do it this way, largely because this is the so-called 1-hour pizza, and I did want this to go as fast as I could. Looks like you're still losing weight. Well, I hope I am. Maybe a week or two ago, I managed to get down to 180. Since then, I have no idea if I have lost any more or not. I did eat something earlier tonight, so I definitely do not feel empty. But yeah, I'm actually quite happy with what I've done so far. I'll only state I have lost somewhere in the area of about 20 pounds. So since August, that's not bad at all. And I'm just thinking of somehow these cast iron pans, they weigh 20 pounds. And I'm thinking I used to be carrying that around 24/7. So I'm quite happy with that. Okay. Let me see. We're probably getting close. This is not a cake. I think I can peek on this. So let's see here. Oh man, is this thing rising? Oh yeah, huh? I am. Oh yeah, this is gonna look good. I'm thinking. Let me check one more time. There is cheddar in there as well. That's why it has a little bit of yellow. But oh yeah, I'd say within maybe about less than 5 minutes at the very most, we are gonna have ourselves a pizza, all right. In fact, now that I'm saying that, I better move this aside so that there will be room for it because, yeah, oops, there it goes again. Yeah, oh good, the dough ball is still here because that is one hot cast iron pan, and about the only place I can safely put it, I think, would be right here on the stovetop. So while I'm waiting there, I think we're getting close to the point where I can start rolling out the second one. So let's move this over once again. Yeah. And let's get started, shall we? That means we've got to start flattening this out as best we can. And funny thing is, this does not seem to have much of a pullback either. You know how pizza dough tends to snap back when you stretch it, at least initially. This one, I think, has rested nicely because I'm getting very little pullback on this, which is good. That means I'll be able to, again, shape this into a pretty decent-sized pie with very little difficulty. This little tray here, for the record, is a 95-cent Walmart so-called pizza pan, which is worthless for making pizzas, but it does make a pretty good tray, as you can see. So, all things considered, maybe before I put this out and onto the peel, because I need to do that quickly, I think we may be getting close to time for our pizza. Especially since I goofed and forgot to give you guys the show let's take a sneak peek of this, shall we? Let me move this down as best as I can. Here comes the roller coaster again. Boy, isn't this fun? Yeah, that doesn't help much. There, let me try getting the angle up a little bit. And now we will try again. Damn it. Okay, no matter what, I am not getting this thing to work. Ugh. That's what I get for doing this on a low budget. Well, in that case, if need be, we could always put this thing back in, right? So let's take it out right now and see how it looks, because wait till you see this, folks. Okay, Tass, you are going to have to move, unfortunately, like it or not, so that there will be room. And let's give this a shot, shall we? Oh boy, wow, did this thing rise. Yeah. In fact, I can even lower this a little bit and give you folks a much better close-up. So this actually looks not too bad, I would say. Considering this, again, by the way, for the record, is the BS&R Red Mountain Pan, which, as I said, does not have the polished, smooth surface that the Century series pan has. I mixed some cheddar in with the mozzarella. That's why it has that orangey look. But this actually looks, I would have to say, not too badly, if you ask me. The crust, yeah, the crust definitely puffed up. Oh man, do we ever have a crust here? Whew. And it looks like I'd have to say that Jamie's pizza is probably about ready. Let me stand this up so that we can get this out and onto a tray for her. As soon as I can find one. Let's move this out of the way. Do not want to drop that. That would not be good. Okay. Give me 1 second and then I will return to your comments, I promise. Let's very quickly find ourselves a tray. Where the heck did I put them? I can't believe how disorganized I've gotten recently. I do apologize, folks. I don't know why I'm having so much trouble finding the trays, because they're not where they are supposed to be. Here we are. Okay. Thank you for waiting. Now, let's move back onto here. Rise this up a little bit because this is, yeah, there we go. This is going to be a pretty good view in itself, because now comes the fun part. Here's where we take our spatula. Actually, I want the longest spatula. Here we go. Now we take our spatula and as carefully as possible, lift this up. And bam. No sticking. Oh, yeah. So, off to a pretty good start here, I'd say. So there we are. There is pizza number 1. Jamie's cheese pizza is ready, at least as soon as it cools off. So, not bad at all, I'd say. By the way, underneath, yeah, still not getting a good view, are we? Let's try raising it up this way. And now that we are looking at the ceiling, let's try again. See what kind of upper view we have of this. Not bad. There we go. So as I said before, this is the Red Mountain series. Block 30. I like cheddar on pizza. A place me makes a bacon cheeseburger with cheddar, so it's the best. To each his own. I'm a mozzarella or parmesan or bust. Well, this also has a lot of mozzarella and parmesan in it as well. So I'm not going to argue about pineapple, quite frankly. I think that is even a more silly argument than whether or not beans should go in chili. Because I've had pineapple pizza and I like it. I've had true traditional Neapolitan margarita pizzas and I love it. So I have no problem at all with putting unusual toppings on a pizza. And I refuse to have any part of that so-called argument. In fact, somewhere on my agenda, I'll be making a pineapple pizza. But let's take another look, shall we? Now, let me get my gloves out because this is a very hot pan still. In fact, I should probably dump out this extra cooked cornmeal right now. Otherwise, I'm going to spill it all over the place. Excuse me 1 second. There we go. Now, at last, here again is the Red Mountain series pan, which looks like the seasoning has come on pretty nice. As I said, this thing here, let me show you, does have the 14S logo on it, which again, that would simply mean the mold ID. All of these 14S's for some reason were underlined, whereas the 14A from BSR was not underlined. And of course, most famously is the fact that this is the only BSR pan that does not have the ridge underneath the handle. Did a video on that, pointed out that despite that, I'm still convinced that this is in fact the real deal. However, as noted, this thing does have a helper handle. In fact, let me turn this guy around here so you can take a closer look at the helper handle, I guess. It does have a helper handle. I think BSR was the only one that did this little round hole in the helper handle, which is another way you can identify them, especially the 12 and the 14. As I said, I have a sneaking suspicion, just based on my observation, that I think this is probably a later BSR, maybe from the 40s to the 60s. Having said that, let's get on with our next pizza. The authentic poutine cheese curds is also a nice addition. Oh yeah, you're talking about squeaky cheese, aren't you? Chicken Alfredo pizza was made, and that was really good. And wow, 43 minutes already. We're off to a good start. I think it's about time, while I put Jamie's pizza aside, I think it is about time to start the next one, which I'm pleased to say will be mine. I've got to find a safe place for this. Okay, that means we will put it right over here. How about that? Meanwhile, back here, I've got this one here that that I started working on a few minutes ago. Regrettably, I may have dried out the crust, unfortunately, but that's my own fault. So let's do this as best as we can. And let us start. I'll put this aside. Okay, well, pretty much we just do what we did before. Let's throw some cornmeal on top of here. On top of the peel. Like I said, I was surprised as anybody to see how easy it was to use a pizza peel. So far, I've had a pretty good track record with these things, and all I can say again is if a fool like me can do it, then anyone can do it. So just very lightly spread the cornmeal around to help keep this from sticking. Yeah, the 1 hour pizza recipe says to use parchment paper, but then again, that 1 hour pizza recipe also does not use cast iron. So I don't think he was prepared for that. Having said that, well then, best of all, I gotta do this with 2 hands. There we go. Come on. There. That actually worked a little better than I thought. Now we can even spread this out a little bit more, because I want a nice wide and flat pie if possible. So far, so good. All right, let's get this going now, which means, once again, it's just simply time to start laying down the layers, and that would be our sauce. By the way, notice, as I said before, I did not drown that pizza in sauce, and it turned out pretty good, if I may say so. So likewise, I'm not using an extremely amount of sauce on this. In fact, the recipe says to use a 28-ounce can of sauce, and that'll give you enough sauce for 2 pizzas. Well, as you can see, I've got plenty left here, even though I really have not used a lot of sauce. So I guess your mileage may vary where this recipe is concerned. Okay, let's try bringing this out a little more. I always seem to have a knack for having one edge of the pizza with a huge crust, and I'm trying to avoid that for once. Now, let's get these going. And time again for the cheese. And cheese and more cheese and more cheese. I know some people have said there's no such thing as too much cheese. Well, when making pizza, that's debatable, because if you top it with too much cheese, then again, it can result with a soft and soggy crust. Not to mention, of course, the cheese, the oil separating from the cheese, and then you get all of that grease, which I know somebody at the beginning of this video said the greasier the better. But you really don't want too much grease if possible. However, I'd say we're probably close here to the amount of cheese that we want. Mozzarella. Yeah, you too. Oh yeah, that was pretty good. Now, in addition, since this one is going to be my pizza, let's throw in another necessity. And that, of course, there we go. The pepperoni. And I have done some pizzas where I pretty much covered the entire thing with a layer of pepperoni. Of course, since the pepperoni tends to shrink a little bit, it still didn't turn out as just simply one layer of pepperoni, but there were quite a bit of peps on it nonetheless. So we do there and there. And this is not going to take long at all, is it? And I do want thinly sliced peps. And in fact, gee, what a shame. It looks like there's going to be an awful lot of pepperoni left over. Whatever can we do? Oh, what a shame. One more, and I think, whoops, not that. There's that moisture absorbing packet. Okay, one more, and I think we are good. Hi, rolling pin and olive oil the pan for a nice crispy thin crust. Dean ready. I add the sauce once the dough is spread out in the pan. Yeah, I can't say I blame you at all. And having said that, let's give this one final topping. Whoops, may have overdone it with this Romano. What a shame. And having done that, okay, now I've got a little bit of a dilemma here. Where am I going to put this Red Mountain right now. So I guess I'm gonna have to move this as best as I can. Let's see. Well, okay, let's move Jamie's pizza to one side, which is still nice and warm, I'm pleased to say. Oh, no, you don't. I'm not going to make that mistake. All right, there we go. Let's move the Red Mountain over a little bit. Over onto here. And this time I'm going to try to show you old Stumpy as we slide it into the pan, because I apologize again that I did not focus the way I should have. Nonetheless, here he comes. Here we go. Get here. Is Stumpy. Okay, let's get this close up in there as quickly as we can. And now, here we go. Here comes the peel and the pitch. Bam. Like I said already, if a fool like me can use a pizza peel, anybody can do it. And now, having said that, into the oven we go. All right. Bam. There we go. Let's do a close-up of the Red Mountain while we're doing that. Okay. Cornmeal. Yes, I used cornmeal in this case. I know some people use semolina flour, but I've had a lot of luck with cornmeal, and quite frankly, cornmeal is less expensive. You see, so Shadow Walker. I have had. It was just wondering about flavor, but now you reminded me it was a light cheddar flavor and the color and stretch of mozzarella. Mark Curtis. You ever see the show about New York thin crust pizza and Chicago thick crust pizza? Both are good. I've had both pizzas and they are both good. I have no problem with Chicago deep dish pizza either. So, I've made mozzarella, but it's a lot of work for what you get. Yeah, I've noticed that. And maybe that's one reason why I have not yet taken the time to make some homemade mozzarella. What? No. Oh, I don't doubt it. It's so good. Mm-hmm. It's unbelievably good. Yeah. I like the taste of pepperoni on pizza. I just find it too greasy for me. And cookery again. Did you not bother adding shortening to preheated pan because there's no need, or because pizza dough doesn't tend to stick? The pizza dough, when it's good enough, has enough oil in it, I find, that it won't stick and you will be just fine. I've made quite a few pizzas. As I said, most of them have been mediocre. I cannot think of a single instance where the pizza has stuck to the pan. In every single instance, I've had no trouble at all getting the pizza out of the pan. I don't think I've ever had a problem. Yeah. Oh, by the way, here's a glance at yours. Nice. Okay, no, that's all right. Anyway, and that includes, for the record, as I said, I have made pizzas of the kind where you actually rise the dough, or you spread it out in the pan and let the dough rise in the pan before baking it. In that instance, I do grease the pan in advance. I use extra virgin olive oil, spread it across the pan, and then spread out the dough, cover it, and let it rise for about 2 hours or so. At that point, then you add your toppings and bake it. It's still popped out of the pan with no sticking at all. Meanwhile, today, as you saw, I did not do that. I used a pizza peel, and I used cornmeal on the peel to keep it from sticking to the peel. And as you saw, that also did not stick to the pan. So far, I have not had any trouble at all with the pizza sticking to the pan. As I said, there is oil in the dough, and that certainly helps. So I hope that answers your question, cookery. I mean, as you say you're a noob, well, so am I. I've been making pizza in cast iron now for probably maybe about I would say close to 8 years or so. And as I've just said, my pizzas so far have turned out mediocre to not bad. I have not yet made a world-class pizza. I think a lot of people would not consider this a world-class pizza, even though I'm really looking forward to having it nonetheless. Of course, I'm not even talking about the pizza snobs, the ones who are so very, very picky about their pies and about the hydration and about whether or not to use corn oil in the dough as opposed to simply olive oil or any other unapproved ingredients. I am not part of that. The pizza making crowd has its own politics, just like any crowd does, and I'm not interested in those kind of politics. All I'm interested in, is trying to practice on my pizza and make it taste a little better. Paneer cheese is ridiculously easy to make. Paneer, that sounds like an India name. I'm hoping that's the case here. Often it will cut into little tofu-sized rectangular and object curries when it picks up the flavor, but the real trick is that you fry the cheese. Yeah, that's another thing I learned about a few years ago, and that is actually fried cheese, and that was pretty good as well. That came from living in a Portuguese neighborhood, and I was glad to do so. That introduced me to a lot of foods, not the least of which is grilled cheese. In that case, is then instead of making a grilled cheese sandwich, you just simply skip the bread and just grill the cheese. You literally put the cheese right onto the hot pan for only about maybe 30 seconds per side, and then you've got yourself a nice grilled cheese. Okay. I prefer New York style, but can eat deep dish as well. Grimaldi's in Brooklyn is the best. I've been to New York City, have not yet been to Grimaldi's. Well, of course, it's a big city. You can't go everywhere. I mean, I have been to Little Italy, for instance. In fact, in Little Italy, I looked for a wood-fired pizza now place, and there were none of them in Little Italy. The cannoli was fantastic, though, nonetheless. On the other hand, I think I'll give one little quick story. New York City, I was doing a lot of walking on that trip. Big surprise. And just for the heck of it, on 64th Street, I was hungry for lunch and I pretty much just stumbled into a small pizza place there on 64th Street. It was like maybe about 4 or 5 blocks from Central Park. And that turned out to be one of the best pizzas I have ever had in my life, just the way they made it. Well, let's say it this way. I asked for mushroom and cheese. What I got was a pizza with mushrooms and mushrooms and mushrooms and cheese, and the mozzarella pulled about half a mile long and was, oh man, and of course the pizza crust itself was nice and not soft, not hard, and it had good char on it. Oh, that was a fantastic pizza. And I don't even remember the name of the place. I only remember it was on 64th Street. James Ransdell, I've used a post-Civil War gate-marked 18-inch round ball-handled griddle for pizza and cookies, and nothing has ever stuck with it. Yeah, I did that too. I've since gotten rid of that pan. I think I sold it if I remember right. I had a 14-inch gate-marked round griddle, one of those hanging griddles. I've never understood how you can use those hanging griddles because you figure you put anything on it, it's going to tip over. But anyway, I used that as a pizza pan, and it was a fantastic pizza pan. Really, just about any piece of cast iron will make yourself a nice pizza. Of course, the bigger the better in that case. Dr. M, I rise the dough in a bowl, butter the skillet, spread the dough in a cold pan, then start heating it on low. while I add sauce and ingredients. Oven at 500 for 15 or so. Makes it nice and crisp. Oh, that sounds terrific. Looks like we're running on 1 hour here, so I'm hoping this pizza, which is my pizza, is just about done at this point. Good video tonight. With what's the easiest way to find your live videos? Probably the easiest way to do that really is to just be subscribed to my channel. A number of these live videos, I try to do a regular one on Wednesday if possible. Most of these other live videos, I've really just been pretty much a spur of the moment type of thing. And I guess I should apologize to everybody for that, and that I don't really give much of an announcement for it. There have been a couple of times on Sunday morning or even Saturday morning when I was starting breakfast, and I said, you know, I think I'll make a live video of it. So I pretty much do a live, and it starts going live immediately, even though there really has not been much of an announcement of it. On Sunday, the past Sunday at Halloween, I did actually announce this several days in advance that I was doing a midnight live. I hope that one turned out all right, but yeah, that midnight live, and I did give several days advance warning on it. The best I could say is really just to be subscribed to my channel, because a lot of this is not really planned in advance. And that's not one of the reasons why I call my channel Cast Iron Chaos, but it turns out that kind of definitely contributes to the chaos. Ever cooked a whole turkey in a Dutch oven and stuffing and cast iron at Thanksgiving? Oh, yes, Brian. Look on my channel again for turkey videos. I think I've got 7 or 8 turkey videos at this point. And the newer the videos get, it seems like the easier the turkey becomes to produce. And I think even the better it becomes. I have been practicing my turkeys for the past several years now. And that's one thing I'm actually proud of, is how my cast iron turkeys have come out. I've used a big Dutch oven to cook a turkey. I've used a cast iron skillet to cook a turkey, and that's become my preferred way of doing that. Either this pan or old Stumpy is going to be the one that I cook my Thanksgiving turkey in this year. Also, my plan as well is to do a pre-Thanksgiving turkey video, which I hope to do within about the next week or so. I think we're probably getting in about to that time. So let's see how it looks, shall we? Oh yeah, I'd say we are at about that time. All right, let me get this back right now. And out we go. Oh yeah. And here is pizza number 2. Oh, what we've got here is your typical. Oops, yeah, nice view, shall we? Okay, let's see. Maybe I can. That's how we'll do it. Here comes the roller coaster again, folks. I'm sure you folks just love it when this happens. I have no doubt whatsoever. Okay, let's pull this in a little bit. There we go, more or less. And this, of course, is Stumpy, a red. I can turn off the oven now. A Red Mountain Century Cookware Series number 14. And it looks like Stumpy here has just cooked a pizza that might be, oh, I don't know, maybe about 11 inches or so in diameter. And again, we've got ourselves your pepperoni. And I think I got it at just about the right point, because, yeah, I'm starting to see those orange grease spots showing up on here. However, nonetheless, we've got the sauce. The crust turned out, oh yeah, this is definitely a nice tough crust. It's going to be a crunchy crust, no question about that. And it looks like the mozzarella, though, it looks like it melted pretty good, and that's what I get for grating it myself. So that means I'm going to have to get yet another tray out and get this pizza out of this pan and into the tray. That means... And then after I do that, I'll be able to show you Stumpy a little bit more. Okay, I just had that tray. Why do these trays keep disappearing? I just had it. The tray that I just slid that thing off. Oh, where the bleep? There it is. Okay. All right. That means we move Jamie's pizza aside and put it in a safe place. Okay. Here we go. Where did that? There it is. Here's that spatula again. And that means we get to move this over. Actually, this thing's sliding around on this peel. I think I better move the peel so that the whole thing doesn't slide off. I noticed, by the way, this time the peel was completely dry. There we go. Now comes the fun part. Move this over a little bit. Lift Stumpy. Thank goodness my wrist is doing better. And boom. And bam. Ugh. There we go. Not bad at all. Once again, as I said, there is no trouble at all getting that pizza out of the pan. And you saw already that I did slide it off of the peel onto that dry pan, which again means just that, well, that's one thing I've had no difficulty at all with. Let's see if we can't get a shot. Ooh, this is hot. The underside of this crust. This looks pretty good. All right. So anyway, there we are. There's the second pizza, doing not badly at all. Do you season the peel with mineral oil? I so far have not. I have left it dry, for the record. I'm thinking you probably should, actually. As you can see, I'm not a professional pizza maker, but that's the thing with wooden utensils, is that you do have to season them, otherwise they will just become too brittle and crack. But so far, maybe it's because I've had barely any liquid at all on that peel. So far, it has worked just fine, completely dry since I got it from the store. Did Trouble move the tray? I hope not. No, I think Trouble is in the other room with Jamie right now, playing Greek yogurt. And here are, yes, indeed, Papa Dan. Here are 2 pizzas tonight. Well, if you say they look good, again, I appreciate that. Oh, yeah, nice crust on this one too. The crust feels firm and yet not rock solid. So I'm quite happy with how this one turned out. Definitely looking forward to chowing down on this. That's for sure. Okay, now, finally, I guess, let's do another look at our friend Stumpy here, even though I've shown him off quite a few times. As I mentioned, Stumpy, get that glove since Stumpy is still hot, and I'm going to have to dump out this extra cornmeal, otherwise it'll fall all over the place. So Stumpy here is a more common, I guess if you can call number 14 common, BSR Century Cookware series number 14. And he is a Century, even though he only has a number 14 on the back, and it does not say 14 inches. However, what I do know, among other things, is that he's definitely a Century because he has a Made in USA mark, for one, which means he had to have been made in 1967 or later. Number 2, it's also been revealed that with the number 12 and the number 14 size in particular, BSR continued using those same patterns for several years after they went to automated production, so that even with their smaller pans, they were giving you the NO number 8 or number 10 with the description of the size. For at least a good few years or so, they did not do that specifically with the number 12 and the number 14. Also, Stumpy here does have your standard ridge underneath, even though he's a number 14 size pan. So that these things here show that this is in fact the Century Cookware series. And having done that, let's do one other thing, shall we? And let's slice ourselves up a pizza. How about that? Oh, yeah. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Yeah, as I said, using this method only produced what was maybe about an 11-inch pizza or so, although it's got a nice crust to it. That's one thing several things about pizza making that I still have to practice. Among other things, it looks like would be using that pizza cutter, which evidently did not cut as well as I would have liked. So we'll redo that slightly. Yeah. The other is that this pizza is just sliding all over the place. Oh, there we go. That's what I wanted to hear. Now, much better. There we go. Now, this is more like it. And very much as well, thanks to Brian Lagerstrom for the 1-hour pizza recipe, which doesn't look too bad at all. Let's see what happens if I... We've got stretch on our mozzarella. Oh, yeah. Definitely a pizza, I'll say that much. So anyway, I'd like to see a Red Mountain 12, just can't find them. I know what you mean. Well, the Red Mountain series, especially the large ones, are harder to find, although it seems like the smaller size pans of the Red Mountain series are not that hard to find. But yeah, things like a 14, for instance, can be pretty difficult, especially since antique malls pretty much have one rule, well, 3 rules as far as cast iron is going, and that is old is good, big is good, but old and big are better. So if you find a number 14 in pretty much any cast iron pan, you will see it at an antique mall at ridiculous prices. And nonetheless, even so, I'd like to find a number 12 Red Mountain Dutch oven myself. However, having said that, I think it is time now to make an announcement. As I said already, one of these pans, let me move this out of the way. There we go. This over here, and then the announcement. And that announcement is one of these pans is going away, and I'm going to do a giveaway. And the giveaway will be next Wednesday. That is November 10th, Wednesday, November 10th. On Cast Iron Wednesday, live on YouTube, I'm going to give away one of these BSR number 14 skillets. At this point, I'm not sure yet who is going to be going away, whether it's going to be the Red Mountain or the Century. The simple reason is, I said this already, is that I do not have a need, or space for that matter, for 2 number 14 sized cast iron pans. I'm really glad to have acquired that Red Mountain so that I had the chance to compare him to Stumpy and see how well he cooks. And I have to say, he certainly cooks like a dream. I really don't have any complaints at all about that. Nonetheless, it also means just that. So next week on Cast Iron Wednesday, there will be a giveaway and the winner will get a Birmingham Stove Range number 14 cast iron skillet. I also have to say, I'm going to have to enter one person into this drawing twice, and that would be Shadow Walker XM. He pointed out after the last drawing that despite all my efforts to try to be as fair as possible to everyone, somehow he was omitted and he was not in the drawing for that number 14 size Dutch oven. So I told him then that I would make it up to him, and I'm just making this a public announcement that that one person, Shadow Walker XM, assuming he's there next week in the live video, will be entered in twice. Nonetheless, it is still going to be a random drawing, and I am still going to do everything I can to be as fair and to everyone, new and old. However, there we go. Give me a moment to get my jaw off the floor. Well, okay, I'll certainly wait. The best I could say is, and I've said this part before, if you don't have at least one big cast iron pan, I highly recommend getting one. Whether or not it's a vintage pan or a new pan. I mean, after all, you can find the Lodge 15-inch modern day skillet in some instances at TJ Maxx or Marshall's. It's like a $40 price, depending on what they're selling it for. You may get lucky and stumble across a vintage pan. But regardless, I have gotten a lot of use out of old Stumpy here, for instance. I've said that already. You've seen that. I've used Stumpy here to make giant cookies. I've made pizzas. See, I made pizza in him just tonight. He is my turkey roasting pan. I'm going to be, well, either him or the Red Mountain. I'm going to be roasting my Thanksgiving turkey and likely a Christmas turkey in this number 14 size pan. So yes, you will get a lot of use, and having one of these huge pans is a lot of fun as well. There is no denying that. And for that reason, I very highly recommend it, which is why if you turn out to be the lucky winner of a number 14 BSR cast iron skillet next week, well, you will certainly have my congratulations and congratulations from everybody else here as well. And finally, bring back Jamie's pizza here so that it will be here when she is ready. By now, I think I can safely put this back into the Red Mountain. Yeah, there we go. It's already at the point where, yes, it is still quite warm, but as you can see, it's not burning my fingers when I touch it. So, okay. Well, okay. I think I can safely say as well, there is going to be a brand new secret word next week. It is not going to be bacon, and it's not going to be not bacon. It's going to be something completely different. So, and yeah, my ultimate goal is to find the rare Gatemark number 20 skillet. Yeah, I know. I've seen photos of that number 20, and even the owner of Finex managed to acquire one of those, and he put it especially on his blog so that he could show it off, and I don't blame him one bit. I myself have actually seen and held another famous big skillet, number 16. As it turned out, there was an antique mall in Virginia, the Factory, in fact, one of the biggest antique malls in the area, and it's called the Factory. It's in Staunton, Virginia. When I went there a few years ago, wow, has it been that many already? There was a vendor there who actually had the number 16 cast iron skillet, and I got to pick it up and hold it in my hands. Man, was that thing ever thick and heavy. I think that pan weighed 30 pounds by itself without without anything in it. So yeah, that was quite an adventure holding that pan. If I remember right, he was selling it for, I don't know, $200 or something like that. And no, I mean, I did not have a burning desire to get the number 16. if it was like, I mean, if I scored one at an incredibly low price, I would definitely not pass it up. However, it was just one of those that was really nice to see. And I'm glad I saw it and was able to hold it. Number 16 just ended on eBay tonight. It was a prison make unit, apparently. Yeah, there are rumors that those huge pans were made by prison labor. My understanding is that number 16 in particular, apparently they found one that did in fact have a manufacturer label on it, or manufacturer mark on it, I should say. I'm going to have to research that a little more. Christine Bergatti. Fair warning, this was maybe 3-4 years or so ago that I was at the factory antique mall in Staunton. There's no guarantee that that number 16 is still there. It's no guarantee that the factory is still in business, thanks to the pandemic, unfortunately. So, if you want to do yourself a little road trip exploring the antique malls of Virginia, of that area, Virginia is actually quite proud of its antiques in those areas. You can certainly do so, and you'll have a fun time. But bring your wallet. A lot of those things are really, really, really high priced. You can still find a bargain or two if you look carefully, and I've managed to do that, and anybody can do that. One thing I would like to do one of these years is to head down south and go to one of the highway yard sales, such as the 127 yard sale, and spend a day or two just driving down and seeing what I can find that way. That might be interesting. On the other hand, of course, I'm also inviting everybody to come up here to Massachusetts next May for the Brimfield Antique Show, where, as you saw already, that is going to be something. There's always something interesting to see there. James Ransdell, now for something completely different, a Stumpy Giveaway. Yes, indeed. Now, yes, Stumpy. No, this has nothing to do with my bill. Let me reassure you of that. Stumpy, as I've said already, is in fact because of the way his handle is shaped. And let me show you one more look at his handle, shall we? Boy, is that a suggestive statement. I'm going to show you Stumpy's handle, which happens to be pointing in just the right direction, too. Stumpy here, I think this is a manufacturing flaw. You see this, you see the way it seems to be chipped off here at the end. By the way, notice he's already cool enough. I can hold this with my hand. He's still quite warm, but yeah, exactly. I've got my hand wrapped around Stumpy's stump. Okay, enough. Yes. Okay. Meanwhile, as I said, you notice how there seems to be almost a chip here on the end of that. It's not round. It seems to be chipped off. I think this is actually a manufacturing flaw, and I think that happened in the factory. After all, those of you who have seen chipped and broken cast iron will know it would be extremely difficult to drop a cast iron pan and have just the very tip of the handle break off like that. More likely the entire handle would break off, or there might be a crack, except there's nothing like that. And that's why I think this is actually I think this happened probably at the manufacturer. So, at the factory. And so because of that, as well as the way the handle is really, really small in comparison to the pan itself, yeah, let me try putting it back this way. This is why, even from the day I got it, I gave this pan the nickname Stumpy. And I'm proud to call him Stumpy. Notice I use him to describe him. He has performed like a champion, and he has got a long life ahead of him, regardless of whether he remains in my kitchen or if he goes somewhere else next week. Stumpy here is really a pan that I think anybody would be proud of. He has a few battle scars too. If you look here, you see these dark spots on the pan. These are actually tiny little divots that seem to have happened. And again, I don't know if that is actual damage or if that was another problem with the manufacturing. I'm not complaining. As I said, this has been a fantastic pan, and I'm very, very happy with it. I've got pans with that flaw. Looks like over grinding. So you never know, and you might be right, William Hurt. Chipped cast iron can also have very sharp edges. Yes, you are correct about that. And on the other hand, this is definitely not a sharp edge. It does not feel sharp. I mean, there is a real, I shouldn't say even edge, but it's not rounded at all. It is definitely flat here at the end, but it is not sharp, and there's no risk at all of me cutting myself like this. Okay. Stumpy is a legend in this channel. Yeah, I know what you mean. We'll see what happens next week. Somebody's husband hit by Stumpy. Who knows? That could be the case. All right. However, at this point, I think we are about all set because we have done everything we set out to do. We made 2 pizzas. Both of those pizzas, I think, have turned out pretty good. We've shown off our Century Cookware and our Red Mountain skillets. And I have announced that next week, one of these is going to be given away in a giveaway. So, well, yeah, I mean, Stumpy is only a he because I call him a he. So I've cut more cast iron pipe than I can count, and it always has sharp edges, which again is why I think that was actually a manufacturing flaw. But nonetheless, you'll have a big audience next week, guaranteed. Oh, I don't doubt it, especially after I make the official announcement on the YouTube channel, which I'll probably do in just a few minutes. That should be interesting. Okay. Having said that, I think it's about time for everybody to head in. Prepare yourself for next week, although all you really need to do is to show up and subscribe to the channel and type in the secret word, like before. Because, again, it's still You Bet Your Life. Or not your life, but you bet. Say the secret word and be entered into the contest. And here's hoping that somebody who deserves this pan turns out to be the winner. It's going to be completely random, so it's my guess. Your guess is as good as mine. And good night, Sam Cook and Glock 30 fan and Pawpaw Dan and Captain Kirk and Brian Witten. Have you ever used cast iron saucepans or enameled saucepans? Amazon has inexpensive, but I think China made. All enameled cast iron, modern cast iron is China made, including Lodge cast iron. There are no enamelware manufacturers of cast iron in the U.S. anymore, with one exception. And that, of course, is the Burrow furnace in the Hudson Valley of New York. They only started producing enameled cast iron within like the last couple of years or so. But then again, they make their cast iron by hand. They're never going to be able to mass produce it at the way that Lodge and the other manufacturers will. So other than that, if you want enameled cast iron, yes, it is Asian made. Unless it's European made, like Stobe or Le Creuset, for instance. And frankly, I've had so luck with the Asian made enamel. What I mean is that I got a Cuisinart enamel Dutch oven, and it actually crazed and began to crack after only a couple of years or so. That did not take long. On the other hand, I got a Lodge Dutch oven. I've had that now for about 4 or 5 years, and even now it's getting stained, and I think the enamel might be beginning to, unfortunately, wear off. But again, that's because I put a lot of use out of it. We'll probably talk more about that a little later, because it is about time to head out. As Dr. M says, have you decided on the topic other than the giveaway? Well, it's going to have to be something, once again, starring these pans, I think, so that you'll be able to see them in action. Then again, of course, Thanksgiving is coming, so there's a hint. Well, we will only see what happens, I guess, next week. Otherwise, though, folks, I can only thank everybody for showing up. And again, I hope this has been a little interesting. I noticed we're up to 90 people, even after an hour and a half. And thank you very much to everybody for that. So here's hoping that we have a lot of fun even before next week. As I mentioned, I've got other videos coming out, and I hope people enjoy them. All right. I'd like to thank everybody again for your time, and thank you very much for being here. And we'll see you all next Wednesday. Have a good evening, folks. We're done.